The US-led coalition that's forming in response to China. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is NDP News, where we dive deep into current international affairs every day. The American government has been engaged in foreign policy decision-making for decades, and its approach towards adversaries has been a topic of debate for just as long. In the aftermath of the Cold War, the United States found itself without a clear enemy, and many wondered what its foreign policy approach would be in this new era. However, the United States continued its policy of lumping together its adversaries. This approach has been particularly evident in the expansion of NATO, which has continued to expand eastward since the end of the Cold War. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization was originally established in 1949 as a defensive alliance against the Soviet Union. However, after the fall of the Soviet Union, the alliance did not disband, but instead continued to expand, adding new members in Eastern Europe, the Balkans, and the Baltic states. This expansion has been seen by some as an attempt by the United States to encircle and contain Russia, despite promises made to the contrary. One such promise was made in 1990, when the young Russian Federation agreed to the reunification of Germany, in exchange for a pledge from the United States that NATO would not expand further eastward. This promise was broken when NATO expanded to include Poland, the Czech Republic, and Hungary in 1999, and later added Bulgaria, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. This expansion has been viewed as a provocation by Russia and has led to tensions between Russia and the United States. Another area where the United States has shifted its foreign policy approach is in its relationship with Taiwan. For decades, the United States has pursued a policy of strategic ambiguity towards Taiwan, which meant that the United States did not explicitly state whether or not it would defend Taiwan in the event of a Chinese invasion. This approach was seen as a way to avoid provoking China while still providing support to Taiwan. However, in recent years, the United States has become more vocal about its support for Taiwan, with the Biden administration explicitly stating that the United States would defend Taiwan if it were to be invaded by China. This shift in policy has been seen by some as another attempt by the United States to contain China, and has led to increased tensions between the two countries. The Chinese government has long viewed Taiwan as a renegade province, and has threatened to use force to reunify the island with the mainland. The United States' shift in policy towards Taiwan has been viewed as a challenge to China's claims, and has led to increased rhetoric from both sides. In this video, we'll explore how several countries in the global south have gone against the sanctions towards both China and Russia, and how China has expanded into both Central and South America, as well as Africa, with development projects that have resulted in many governments leaning more towards China due to their financial support. If you enjoy the content so far, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. And now, on we go. Global South nations defy sanctions, forge closer ties with China and Russia. Sanctions are one of the most widely used tools in modern diplomacy, and many countries in the global south have been the target of such measures over the years. However, recent developments suggest that the effectiveness of sanctions is waning, particularly when it comes to China and Russia. In fact, a growing number of countries in the global south have actually gone against the sanctions imposed on these two countries, due in part to China's growing influence in these regions. China has been expanding its economic and diplomatic reach around the world, including into Central and South America, as well as Africa. One of the ways in which China has done this is through development projects that provide financial support to countries in need. These projects have proven to be an attractive alternative to the traditional Western model of aid. China's development projects have found a profound impact on many countries in the global south, particularly those that are struggling with economic development and political instability. In some cases, Chinese investment has helped to spur economic growth and create jobs, providing a much-needed boost to these countries' economies. However, this financial support has also come with a price. China's projects often prioritize Chinese workers and companies over local ones, which has led to criticism that China is engaging in neo-colonialism. Despite these criticisms, many countries in the Global South have welcomed China's investment and support, and have even gone against the sanctions imposed on China and Russia by the West. For example, Venezuela, which has been the target of U.S. sanctions, has deepened its ties with China in recent years, signing a series of energy and mining agreements. Similarly, Zimbabwe has been vocal in its support of China, despite being subject to US and EU sanctions. Other countries such as Iran and North Korea have also looked to China for support in the face of increasing Western pressure. This shift towards China is not without its risks, however. China's growing influence in these regions has led to concerns about China's political and economic ambitions, and there are worries that China may be seeking to create a new world order that is dominated by China, rather than the US. There are also concerns about the environmental and social impact of China's development projects, which have been criticized for their lack of transparency and accountability. The New Cold War, the growing militarization of NATO and the United States. In recent months, there has been growing concern about the increased militarization of NATO and the United States, particularly in relation to their actions towards Russia on the border of Eastern Europe. This has been fueled in part by the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, which has led to a significant increase in tensions between Russia and the West. As a result, NATO and the United States have begun to bolster their military presence in the region, with some experts warning that this could lead to a dangerous escalation of the conflict. One of the key areas of concern is the Baltic states, which are seen as particularly vulnerable to Russian aggression due to their proximity to Russia and their large ethnic Russian populations. To address this threat, NATO has begun to deploy additional troops and equipment to the region, including 4 multinational battle groups in Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland. These battle groups are made up of troops from various NATO member states and are designed to act as a deterrent against Russian aggression. The United States has also taken steps to bolster its military presence in the region, with the deployment of additional troops and equipment to Poland and the establishment of a new military base in Romania. These moves have been seen as provocative by Russia, which has accused the West of encroaching on its borders and threatening its national security. At the same time, a similar alliance is being formed in the East against China, with the United States leading the charge. The US has been increasing its military presence in the region, particularly in the South China Sea, where China has been asserting its territorial claims. The US has been conducting freedom of navigation operations in the region, which involves sending warships through disputed waters to challenge China's claims. In addition to these military maneuvers, the US has been working to form a coalition of countries to counter China's growing economic and political influence in the region. This coalition includes countries such as Japan, Australia, Philippines, and India, and is seen as a way of balancing China's power in the region. The formation of these two parallel alliances, one against Russia and one against China, has raised concerns about the potential for a new Cold War. Some experts have warned that these alliances could lead to a dangerous escalation of tensions, particularly if there's a miscalculation or misunderstanding on either side. There are also concerns about the impact of these alliances on the global economy and international relations. The increasing militarization of these alliances could lead to a new arms race, which would divert resources away from other areas such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure. It could also lead to a breakdown in global cooperation, with countries choosing sides based on their alliances, rather than their shared interests and values. I know you found the video interesting because you watched it to the end. Please subscribe and comment on specific events you want NDP News to cover. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.